What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. So we got some Ancient Gear support like a few weeks ago, but I was too lazy to make a video on it because, you know, I don't know anything about Ancient Gear up until yesterday when I decided to spend like the whole day figuring out some new combos, and I think I managed to do a pretty good job because I actually now understand that this deck is much better than I initially gave it credit for, and in tandem with the Super Heavy Samurai engine, it might potentially become competitive. But yeah, the new support is actually like fantastic. I have nothing bad to say. It makes the old cards like much better too, like Gear Town and Ancient Gear Catapult and even the Wyvern, because honestly there were barely any playable cards and the deck just didn't function whatsoever. It was like a very gimmicky deck where you just summon like a big fusion monster that doesn't do anything and then it can still die. It's only like unaffected by spell and traps, but nobody cares. And if you're going first, you're never doing anything, and if you're going second, well, I mean, you still had like some obvious choke points, and if your opponents actually understood your deck, you were not in a good position. So now I think I managed to make this deck both good going first and second, which is the important part. But anyways, before we proceed into these combos and deck profile, I would really appreciate if you could smash the like and subscribe button. Let's try to get 1,000 likes, and if we can get there, I will be making a live stream on this deck, and I know you want it, so yeah, make sure you smash the like button. But anyways, let's get right into it. Alright, so combo number one, what happens when you only have Super Heavy Samurai Motorbike? If you were to like splash the Super Heavy Samurai engine in any other deck, it wouldn't be that great, but in this deck, it's particularly good. So yeah, we're going to be searching the Wakoshi, and this is obviously the line that plays through Nibiru. There is another combo where you draw the Wakoshi and not the Motorbike. I will showcase that as well. So don't worry, we're not always assuming that we're drawing the bike. Sometimes we get unlucky and we draw the worst card, which is still fine. It's still full combo. But yeah, the Big Bankai is going to be searching the Soul Piercer. This is an Earth Machine deck. So one of the only situations where it is correct to potentially consider playing more Super Heavy Samurai cards. Yeah, link off, well, synchro off into Axel Synchro, Chilling 1, Chilling 2, Chilling 3. Place the Wakoshi and the scales, search these scales, and then revive back the bike, and then you're going to be synchro summoning for Baronne de Fleur. This is summon number 5, so now we are Nibiru proof, and we're going to be pendulum summoning for the scales. And on normal or special, it's a Monster Reborn. So we're going to be reviving back our Soul Piercer, and then link off into Gear Ballista. And that's the reason why the Super Heavy Samurai engine in this deck just brings so much value, because you just need 2 Earth Machine monsters to make it, and it gets your Ancient Gear engine going. When, well, if it is Link Summon, you can add an Ancient Gear monster, a Gear Town from your deck to your hand. And going second, it's even better because it has another effect where you can destroy one of your spell and trap cards, as well as reduce the attack and defense of an opponent's monster to 0. And the reason why this matters is because Gear Town, when it's destroyed, you get to special summon an Ancient Gear from your hand deck or graveyard, something like that. So it's actually really insane, and it's not once per turn. So if you can destroy Gear Town multiple times, we are in business. But yeah, Chilling 1, Chilling 2, so the scales is, the Piercer is going to be searching an irrelevant card, and then the Ballista is going to be searching the Gear Town, and this is where it gets absolutely gorgeous. So our Baronne de Fleur has a lot of value now because not only does it protect us from Nibiru, but also it can destroy our own Gear Town, and then we're going to be able to trigger its effect in order to special summon an Ancient Gear again from the hand deck or grave. And this new monster right here is insanity. Ancient Gear Dark Golem. On summon, on normal or special summon, you can activate this effect. You cannot set cards for the rest of the turn. Also, add up to 2 Ancient Gear cards and or Gear Town from your deck to your hand, except itself, then discard 1 card. So it's basically like a Melody of Awakening Dragon. I will take that any day of the week. And it's also always treated as Ancient Gear Golem on the field or in the graveyard, which does matter, by the way, especially with the Commander, I think that's the name. The new monster with like 500 attack, 2k defense. But yeah, whatever. We're going to be searching for the Gear Catapult as well as the Gear Town. And this is also very interesting because we search 2 and then we discard 1 from our hand. It doesn't have to be one of the 2 cards that we search. But discarding the Gear Catapult brings a lot of value because it does have a very neat graveyard effect. And then we're going to be activating the Gear Town again and banish that Gear Catapult in order to destroy the Gear Town. And you're going to be summoning a token with a Gear Catapult, and the Gear Town will trigger to summon yet again another Ancient Gear from the deck. Doesn't have any restrictions, by the way. So yeah, summon the Wyvern, which is a Stratos. On summon, you get to search any Ancient Gear card from your deck to your hand, and you can't set cards for the rest of the turn, but it doesn't matter because we're not really a back row deck or anything. But yeah, the Gearbox is going to trigger in order to search this new card right here. I think the name is Commander. There we go. And it has 500 attack, so it's searchable by Gearbox. It's one of the very few cards that you can search. We're now going to be linking off the token as well as the Ballista for a Platinum Gadget, and that allows us to special summon a monster from our hand, well, a machine, to a zone the Platinum Gadget points to. And the Ancient Gear Commander is also a very interesting card because we can Foolish an Ancient Gear Golem from our hand deck or grave, or face up to the grave, and then get an extra normal summon for an Ancient Gear monster. And also, if we summon an Ancient Gear Golem, we can revive back an Ancient Gear Golem from the grave by ignoring the summoning conditions, because Ancient Gear Golem cannot be special summoned. That's the reason why it really matters that we are ignoring the summoning conditions. It's a very old card. It's kind of like the Blue Eyes for the deck, because, you know, it's sad to say, but it sucks, but it's like mentioned in so many card names that, like, you can't really afford to play Blue Eyes without the original Blue Eyes. It's not the best card in the deck, obviously, but it's still a necessity. Anyways, now we are going to be overlaying our 2 level 4 monsters, so the Gearbox as well as the Wyvern for a Merrymaker, and then a Sargus, which is going to be searching for the Regulus, and then link off 2 monsters for a Masquerena. Regulus get back the Soul Piercer, and then on the opponent's turn, we have quite a lot of interruptions. So Omni Negate, and then the Masquerena can go into an Appaloosa if we want to, for 3 additional monster interruptions. So yeah, 1 single card, 1 single motorbike gets us all of that, which I think is actually very cool. Alright, Yak Sign, so what happens if you just draw Wakoshi, but no motorbike, and you don't really want to play the bricks? Because I understand at the end of the day, the bricks are not, you know, that great. Obviously they're bricks, so you're not really trying to draw them. But yeah, Wakoshi is still a very good card on its own, so we're going to be scaling the Big Benkei, and then search for the Samurai Soul Gaia booster, and then special summon that. And we're not going to be synchro summoning this time, because what are we gonna do, like an Omega? No, I'm assuming that this is like the 1-card combo. So we're going to be going into a Gear Gigant X, and then search for the Wyvern, and then normal summon that, and then search for the new card, Ancient Gear Advance. Whenever it's activated, you search your deck for an Ancient Gear spell or trap card, and then it has another very relevant effect, where we contribute a monster, draw 1 card. Not that it matters, but for the rest of the turn, you can normal summon level 5 or higher monsters that are Ancient Gear Golem or mention it without tributing. It's not like super insane, but whatever. Anyways, link off for the Ballista, and then search the Gear Town, and then activate the Advance, so search for the Gear Catapult, which can only be used when you control no monsters. But remember that Gear Advance, you contribute a monster to draw 1 card, so that's exactly what we'll be doing. We're going to be netting a free draw, and then we're going to be activating Gear Town, and since we control no monsters, we can use Gear Catapult in order to destroy the Gear Town, and the Gear Catapult special summons an Ancient Gear from the deck by ignoring the summoning conditions. So just like that, we can summon double Ancient Gear monsters. The first one is going to be the Gear Dark Golem off of Catapult, and then the Gear Town will trigger in Chainlink 2, in order to also special summon an Ancient Gear from the deck, which is going to be the Gear Tanker. And then I'm going to be searching for the Gearbox as well as Gear Town off of the Gear Dark Golem. Chainlink 1 Gear Tanker to special summon an Ancient Gear monster from the hand, and then Chainlink 2 Gearbox in order to search the Gear Commander, and then chain resolves backwards, so that we search first and then we special summon. So we special summon the Gear Commander that was searched off of the Gearbox, which is really cool. And then we use Gear Commander in order to Foolish the Ancient Gear Golem to normal summon the Gearbox. And then we link off the Gearbox as well as the Dark Golem for a Masquerena. And then activate the Gear Town and use Gear Tanker in order to destroy that Gear Town, in order to increase the attack of all of our Ancient Gear monsters by, I believe, 600 attack. It doesn't matter too much, but what really matters is the fact that we destroyed our Gear Town, so that we can special summon an Ancient Gear monster from, again, hand deck or grave. But in this situation, it'll be our one of Ancient Gear Dark Golem from the grave. And yet again, since we control Ancient Gear Commander and we special summon an Ancient Gear Golem monster, well, Ancient Gear Golem, because it's always treated as Ancient Gear Golem, we can summon back an Ancient Gear Golem from the graveyard by ignoring the summoning conditions. So again, it doesn't matter that it cannot be special summoned because we are cheating it out. And then we got 2 level 4 and 2 level 8, so we're going to be making a Sargus on the top of Merrymaker, search the Regulus, and then go for a Sanafond. And this is also a very cute play. So we're going to be getting back our Wyvern with the Regulus and then activate the Sanafond. So for the rest of the turn, neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard, which is a huge floodgate against a bunch of decks, actually. You play against Snake Eyes and you resolve this, you win the game. Literally guaranteed. Same thing with Fire King. They also really need to special summon from the grave. Anyway, since we detached the material from an Xyz, we can also use the Sargus in order to bounce back a card on the field or destroy. But in this situation, since we're going first, we don't really have to break board, so we can just bounce back our Wyvern, which gives us a follow-up play. So we have an Omni Negate, a Floodgate, and a Masquerena that can link off into an Appaloosa, which is a really, really nasty board with one single Wakoshi. Alright, Yak Sign, that's cool and all, but what happens when you draw Ancient Gear Advance and any card? It doesn't have to be something else. That's another 1-card combo, but it does require 1 discard. And it's crazy. You don't even need like Super Heavy Samurai cards to get your stuff going. They are just like facilitators. But Ancient Gear Advance is the only 1-card combo that I could figure out. I tried my best to make Ancient Gear Wyvern work like single-handedly, but it just doesn't, because you have to commit your normal summon way too early. But anyways, the Ancient Gear Advance is going to be searching for the Catapult and then destroy the Ancient Gear Advance, summon the Dark Golem, and then use that effect, so search 2, which is kind of crazy. And then we're going to be discarding our other card. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. And we're searching the Gearbox as well as the Gear Tanker. So Gearbox trigger in order to search for the Commander, and then normal summon the Tanker, which special summons the Commander from the hand, and then Foolish the Golem in order to normal summon the Gearbox, link off the Gearbox as well as the Dark Golem for Ballista, which again is going to be searching for the Gear Town, which we activate, and then use Tanker to destroy the Gear Town, special summon our Dark Golem, and then revive back the Golem from the graveyard with the Commander. And at this point, we can do the exact same thing as last combo, basically. So it's literally the exact same setup. We can make a rank 4 and a rank 8, so like Sanafond or and Regulus if we want to. Well, I mean, Sargass into Regulus, so we also have a follow play. Or if you really want to, you can decide to just be like cruel with your opponent and basically just lock him out of a full mechanic, which is special summoning. So he can go busking to look at our opponent's extra deck, and then now we know what my opponent is playing. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that he's playing a machine deck. Now I know what to do, because I know that my opponent has a certain weakness in the extra deck, so I mean in his whole strategy. So I can lock him out of, again, that special summoning. So I can go Infernal Flame Banshee with my 2 level 4s, search the Nemesis Flag, and then go SP Little Knight to banish one of my cards. And now that I got a card banished, I can go Nemesis Flag, shuffle it back into the deck, and then search my deck for Arch Nemesis Shadows, and then go Reprodocus, and then I'm going to be summoning it literally in front, and I'm going to be calling the attribute, well, the type rather, that scares my opponent the most, which in this situation would be Machine, and my Shadows does not die, but it's still going to apply its effect, and then I can still link off into an Appaloosa, so my opponent cannot special summon Machines, and I have Appaloosa as well as his Shadows, which is pretty cool, but it does require some bricks, not only in your main deck, but also some added cards in your extra deck. So I would maybe consider side decking this, but I wouldn't necessarily main deck it. But it's very easy to achieve, like you have so many 1-card combos that can get you there. So it's actually not too bad. But anyways, that's it for the combos. Let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, so for the deck list, I really wanted to keep this as minimalistic and realistic as possible, because there is no reason to play a bunch of cards that I think are just absolute dog shit. I tried literally everything I tried with the fusions, and they all suck. I mean, like, the Howitzer is unaffected by card effects, so it's like a towers, but it has 1800 defense, so it's not gonna scare anyone. And then the Megaton Golem, the Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, and the Chaos Ancient Gear Golem, they are all the same gimmick. They're only like of any use going second, but that's wishful thinking, because usually you're going to be going up against interruptions. So do you really want to have like a bunch of cards that you're almost never going to be going into? Because the only way to summon them realistically would either be with, like, there's a main deck dude that fusion summons, but it sucks, or with Ancient Gear Fusion, which is kind of like a Shaddoll Fusion if you control an Ancient Gear Golem, but it's not, it's not really good. Yeah, a lot of things really have to resolve, and those going second OTK deck list are not even, like, consistent either, and they do not have the ability to play hand traps realistically. However, this deck is very good going first and second, and can play a bunch of hand traps. So I think it's the cleanest, and it also takes a really nice advantage of the Super Heavy Samurai engine, much better than everyone else who just uses it for like a rank 4 or for a Baron, or just to not really do anything. But anyways, 3 Wakoshi, so as you can see, this is clearly a 1-card combo, same thing with Bike, and with Advance. All those 9 cards are your 1-card starters, but you have a lot of 2-card combos as well. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but if you can summon pretty much the majority of the time 2 level 4 monsters on the board, that is full combo for you. But yeah, we've got 2 Ancient Gear Wyvern, as well as 2 Ancient Gear Tanker and 2 Commanders, and 1 Gearbox. You're not really trying to search, well, draw the Gearbox, obviously. Commander is also not something that does anything on its own, just like Gear Tanker. That one summons a monster from the hand, and then you can destroy like a spell or trap card on your field. So if anything, I think Gear Tanker has a higher likelihood of being a 3-of than any of these other cards. Maybe I would consider playing 3 Wyvern and 3 Gear Tanker, because it's really nice to have a combination of both of them, because it's like a really nice full combo. But whatever, it doesn't really matter too much. Gear Commander is also a somewhat decent card for the extra normal summon, but since I'm only playing one Gear Golem, I'm usually only going to be getting that extra normal summon once, unless I can shuffle it back with Tunneler, which actually will happen because Tunneler is very easy to search thanks to its 500 defense stat, so Ancient Gearbox can search it. And I don't really think I have to explain the fact that I'm playing 2 Big Banky as well as 1 Soul Gaia booster, but it's kind of obvious. 1 Regulus because you can search it with a Sargas, and then 1 Ancient Gear Golem and 1 Ancient Gear Dark Golem. I've already talked about that while I was showcasing the combos. And then I am obviously playing 3 Gear Town. This is like the heart and soul of the deck. Actually, everything revolves around this card. It's a field spell, but its actual on-field effect is irrelevant. The fact that both players can normal summon Ancient Gear monsters for 1 less tribute, you're not really trying to tribute summon these monsters anyways. They kind of suck. If you draw them, you're really just trying to special summon them, and that's it. That's all. Tribute summoning is a very old and garbage mechanic, at least for these old cards, unless you're playing like Flunderies and Monarchs or stuff like that. Anyways, for the hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 3 Bell, 3 Veiler. Cannot play Nibiru or Infinite Impermanence really well. Imperm would clash with the Super Heavy Samurai, and then Nibiru would give you a monster, so you would be unable to use Ancient Gear Catapult. So I am not a fan. You would have to like rely on drawing advance so that you can tribute it and then draw 1 card. Which, I mean, it could still work, but then you have to be like very pessimistic and assume that it won't work. And it's also not like an Earth Machine or something that gets your stuff going. So it can really backfire like crazy. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for the main deck, so 40 cards. For the extra deck, 1 Baron, 1 Axel Synchro, you can also play Omega. So that's the reason why it's in my idea section. And then Zeus, Sargas, Xanathon, which can be like Harbinger or Photon Lord, depends on what you need. Gear Gigant X, I mean, that's obviously needed for the combo. Baguska, just for hurting your opponent. Dugaris, this card's pretty good. You can, if you have like a Gear Commander and 2 other level 4s, you can use the 2 other level 4s to make Dugaris and then revive back the Dark Golem, and then Commander will trigger to revive back the Gear Golem. So that's the reason why Dugaris is there. Anyways, Merry Maker for the Sargas, obviously, which also allows you to make a Zeus for 4 materials, which is pretty insane. And for the links, Appaloosa, SP, Platinum Gadget, Double Ballista, and 1 IP Masquerena. So yeah, that's it for the extra deck. And for the idea section, the Nemesis engine that honestly I don't really recommend it too much. I think it's a win more. You can make like really big boards without having to rely on, you know, locking out your opponent. You can play like Flag and Eschados with Banshee, Reprodocus, and Infection Busking Jesus. Yeah, Fenrir if you want to. It's an Earth monster. That's the only synergy. It's literally nothing else, and it also clashes with Gear Catapult, so I don't really like it too much. Soul Piercer as well as Scales if you want your Super Heavy Samurai motor to be more explosive. But it doesn't really make Wakoshi be that much better, so that's my issue. And then the Fusion Monsters, I don't really recommend too much. The Trap card, absolute dog shit. That card just literally sucks. And it's also a brick if you draw it and you don't have a way to, like, place it. I mean, you would have to, like, rely on the graveyard effect of Ancient Gear Commander. And that's, like, wishful thinking. So, yeah, unless there is something I'm missing, but I really don't think so. Yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.